All right. How we doing? We have audio now? For the 50th time? Goodness. Okay. Well, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the massive technical difficulties there. Haven't had that in a while. Literally had the computer set up for 40 minutes. Went out, got lunch, came back, hit go live, and everything crashed. Blue screen, locked up, no sound, no mouse button. I was sitting there like, what the heck's going on? And then computer just blue screened out on me. Then it proceeded to do a Microsoft update, which I've been postponing update, so I think it's Microsoft's way of trying to get an update in for me. So I don't know, whatever. That really pissed me off. But we're finally back. We got the audio sorted. I guess it broke my Streamlabs audio settings and my mixer settings, but I got that all sorted. I think we're good to go now. So I do apologize for the slight delay. It's only been a 10-minute delay, 11-minute delay. Shouldn't be a problem. We're gonna load up here 319 anyway. You're probably wondering why we're back in X-Plane 11. Guys, as awful as X-Plane 11 looks, I was like, after flying yesterday, I felt like I had this nagging string pulling. I'm gonna say, hey, you should fly the Toliss for your Checkride prep. You should do Toliss again. You should do Toliss again. I got into Microsoft. I flew the Phoenix around. I did a little profile in the Phoenix. It did okay. It did all right. Obviously, frames are a little bit heavier when I wanted to do this because my real sim will be in basically 0-0 viz the whole time. Like, you don't look outside pretty much for the duration of the Checkride. So I don't need to be looking at any graphics outside and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do the Toliss. And then I put a poll up, and then everybody was 50-50. And then I said, screw it. I'm doing the Toliss because I want to do the Toliss. So here we are. We are back in the Toliss 319 for today's Checkride prep. So this is on the plate. This is where we're going to go over the review right here, and then I have a little sticky note, and then we're going to get started. So we're going to do simulating the APU is inoperative. That means we have to do a ground power unit start and air start. We're going to do a loss of electrical power during a ground start. Then we're going to have to do a contaminated runway change, and then we're going to take off. We'll do our steep turns real quick. We'll do a stall recovery, and then we're going to start setting up for some approaches. We're going to do an RNAV approach. Then we're going to do an ILS Cat 3 to an auto land. After we do the auto land, we're going to zap it back to the front of the runway. We're going to do an RTO. And then we're going to do a V1 cut. We're going to secure the engine. We're going to continue on the profile. We're going to come back around. We're going to go mist on a single engine. And then we're going to come back around and land on the single engine as well. So we've got a full plate ready to go. Iron Man coming in with a $20 super chat off the bat. Thank you so much, sir. That's very, very generous. Thank you. Says, afternoon, Captain. Just got done with my workout in the 110 heat index of Fort Worth, so I figured I'd leave a tip as well. Well, man, if you're making it, it is definitely toasty out here today, man. Thank you so much for your $20 dono. I feel completely not good about myself now because I did not work yet this morning, and I just had Schlotzky's for lunch, and I feel extra gross. So thank you for making me feel bad about myself, Iron Man, but I appreciate your $20 super chat. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Hope you guys are ready to go and get this show on the road. So I'm going to try not to be so much of maybe like instructional on this one. It's more of I'm going to get in, we're going to go step by step, we're going to try to get everything done. And if you have questions, please do post them in the chat because that allows me to expand upon maybe a system that you wanted more information about. So here we go. Notepads are ready. Notepad emojis. Take notes. Let's go ahead and get this thing started, shall we? Completely dark in here. I can't even see this overhead on this monitor. This is just X-Plane being X-Plane. I think the batteries are here. 25.6, done. Let's just go ahead and hit the external power push button. We're going to go ahead and get the brightness knob up because I can't see anything. And we'll go ahead and up the integral lighting. We're going to let the screens boot up before we do some additional tests. I have to turn these up because the computer crashed. I had everything ready to go. It was such a perfect intro, ready to go, and then we just had chaos ensue. But we're back. Sloshkis has no calories. Everyone knows that. Oh, please. Hello, the pilot. What's up, man? Thank you so much. Says AV1, good to see you again in the 319. Yes, I love the 319. I can't, you know what? Everyone's parking 319s. I don't think 319s are going to be around much longer. It's kind of an airplane that's going away. You know, the fate of the 319 is kind of sitting up there with the old MD-80. So I want to fly it as much as I can while we still can. Alfie Douglas says, member for 19 months. Thank you so much for your continued support, sir. He says, V1 always have a special place in my heart for X-Plane 11. I do too, Alfie. You're absolutely right. I do as well. All right, power is applied to the aircraft. Our flight warning computer is powered up. We'll do our fire test. We don't need to start the APU right now. Let's look at our condition panel. We'll go pack flow normal, all lights out. Cargo smoke and conditioning panel is set. That looks good. Integral lights are pretty much set. That looks good. And we'll come down to the lower ECAM over here. We'll come down here. We'll take a look at our system. So we're going to go engine page. We're looking for 11 quarts in this particular aircraft. This is an IAE V2500A5 model, so we need 11 quarts minimum. 0.3 per hour of oil consumption. That's good. Let's take a look at our hydraulics page. They are all over serviced. They're still in the green, so that looks good. And of course, we'll look at the recall push button. Make sure there was no last faults, and we'll go ahead and hit the status page. Status is normal. From there, we'll go to the end of the center pedestal. We'll make sure that the flaps are up, the spoiler is retracted, parking brake is on, and we can look at our accumulator pressure, which it's basically in the green. That's close enough for government work, so that is good. Check the circuit breakers, rain repellent, and head outside, do a walk around. All right, so now I'm going to do my captain flow. We'll get in here. Let's come up top. Crew supply on, ground control on, CVR test. Beautiful. Nav 1, Nav 2, Nav 3. We already talked about the differences of panels before on that last stream. We've got the older ADIRU panel up here today with the non-IR push buttons. That looks good. Come down to the external lights. We'll go auto, nav position 1, auto, arm, landing elevation is in auto, pack flow is in normal, crossbleed is in auto. Everything looks good here. Lights out. We have 28.5 volts up there. Everything looks good, but let's do a battery test as well. Come up to the overhead. Battery 1, battery 2 off. Back on. 60 amps less decreasing within 10 seconds. That looks beautiful. That has passed that test. Fire test 1. Fire test 2. I thought maybe I could click and drag, but I guess I can't. Split discharge, everything looks good. Up the right hand side, ACP on, PA out and auto. Down to our center pedestal, left hand side, everything looks good. Come over here, get rid of the electric page, check pressurization is in auto, that is good. Right hand side, or before we go to the right hand side, that's off, off. Parking brake is on, and everything else looks good on the right hand side as well. All right, we got our initials done. This is our preliminary check. We're going to load up kind of a Checkride profile flight plan. So we're going to be departing Seattle today. We got super low visibility. We're headed to Portland. Seattle, Portland. We're doing this as we'll do this flight as V1. We'll do a cost index of 55. Cruise flight level doesn't really matter. Let's just say 250. And we can align the IRS. We'll go to flight plan page, Seattle, departure. We are departing 16 center today. 16 center on the Harib 6 departure. Insert that. And then Portland arrival is, we're just going to say ILS 10 left. No star, no via. Insert that. Secondary flight plan. Very important for today's flight. We're going to do Seattle to Seattle. Now, this particular weather environment and what would happen here in my Checkride is there's going to be a point at which the weather minimums are going to drop down below the minimums to come back into Seattle. So at that point, you're going to need a takeoff alternate. A takeoff alternate will probably, depending on the scenario, you're either going to put your takeoff alternate in the secondary, or you might keep your secondary as Seattle, Seattle, and then keep in mind that you have your takeoff alternate, because depending on the type of failure, you may not want to fly to your takeoff alternate. But if you can't see anything, it can't get back into the airport you just took off from, it does you no good either. So it's kind of it's not if we have a takeoff alternate, we're automatically putting it in our secondary. It's more of, hey, let's take a minute, let's think about it. What type of approach can we do to come back in here? Can we clear the minimums? What's the visibility at? What type of failure do we have? You know, we always brief engine fire failure. Basically, if you're on fire, you need to get on the ground. So if that means I got to come back and I got to shoot a Cat 3 to get on the ground, I'm going to do a Cat 3 to get on the ground. All right, Seattle is that secondary flight plan. Now we have a special engine out that we have to take into account. So how we program that, it's going to be off 16 center. There is no EO SID in the box. Again, this will be in your company. If you're actually working for an airline, you'll have an EO SID. You can select it. We're just going to insert 16 center. The special engine out is follow the 161 radial from Seattle VOR. So I'm going to dial in Seattle 161, and I'm just going to put a 30 DME on it. I don't expect to go all the way out to 30 nautical miles, but should we need it, we have it all the way drawn out. So you can see PBD 04, that is our waypoint for our, that is our secondary engine out track course that we're going to fly. We're also going to load up the arrival in here, 16 center. If I have to come back around for the secondary, we're going to load the ILS 16 center. We'll insert that just like that. So if we look at our plan mode here and I zoom in, you could see this white line here. That is the secondary flight plan, and it's extending out, and it's actually going this way to PBD 04. So you can see how it's the Seattle 161 radial. I do not want to turn right on the departure procedure, as see how the green line takes you off to the right. I know it's left on the screen, but you're going to be flying southbound, so it'll be a right turn. If you lose an engine, you got to continue out of bound on that 161 radial. So that's properly loaded in the box. That's also, I'm going to load up here. I'm going to hard tune Seattle right here. Boom. And I'm also going to put, for the heck of it, 161 course in case I want to back it up. Did you see Spiritual Wings catch fire? I did. Oh wait, the 321? Was it a 321 or a 320? I thought I saw one catch fire at Atlanta. This is X-Plane, right? Crow, it is X-Plane. Did I not adjust the title? Maybe I didn't. I did not adjust the title. Let me go ahead and change it real quick. Done. All right, so I've refreshed it. That way we don't get a bunch of hate mail for fake news. But we should be pretty good now. All right, thank you. Definitely X-Plane, beautiful card IE engines out front. Let's continue planning the box. Our secondary is done. Our RNAV is checked out here. I've got it dialed in. So our diffs rip init B. We're going to go init B. Let's do a quick and dirty loading here. I want to get this as close as I can to max landing weight for the 319, which, let's review our landing weights. 137,788. 145,505, 148,591, and 171,519. So let's go ahead and set, we'll do 12,000 pounds of fuel. It doesn't tell me what my actual takeoff weight will be then, will it? Zero fuel weight, 1 plus F. I wish it would tell me what my takeoff weight was. It gives me a zero fuel. That should be close. It might be heavier, but that's fine. Quick refuel, defuel, we'll set it up. Both of those are set. So let's load in our zero fuel weight of 127.5 and a CG of 28.6. Block fuel on board is 12.0. Set. Gives us a takeoff weight of 139.1. That's fine. That'll work. That'll work just fine. Chuck Blake coming in with a massive dono, $50 bomb. Thank you so much, dude. It says, continuing to learn so much from this channel and Discord. Thank you, Captain Chuck Blake. That is a huge donation, man. Thank you so much for that. Very generous of you, very kind of you. I appreciate that very, very much, sir. Thank you for that. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. I'm glad you're enjoying the streams here as of late with all of the failures and Checkride stuff. So thank you, man. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. All right, progress page. We'll put KSEA 16 center in here as well. And perf page, since we're here, typically this is not when we load the speeds, but we're here now. This is a simism. Let's go ahead and load them up. 138, 142, and 144 is set. This is a flaps 1 flex 72 set. All right, we can get rid of that. Pretty much set there. And we go here, we go here. Well, 2 minutes till alignment. So let's review a GPU start, and we're going to, we're going to need GPU and air as well. Mr. Crow, 15-month celebration chat. Thank you so much for your continued support, sir. He says, so now you've got the side stick, the tiller, and the Throttletek. What's the next peripheral on the horizon? Crow, thank you for your continued support. I will say there is something else in the pipeline, folks. We are not done. We are not done. It will be coming this fall. That is the plan. So this fall, I have some stuff happening for the channel as far as peripherals go, and we're also going to have one hell of a giveaway at some point, just probably for Christmas. So, is it a full level D sim? No, it's not a full level D team. I'm going to be, I'll take a couple pictures when I go to the sim center this tomorrow. But no, I would need more than a 1050 power supply unit to run a level D sim. Jeremy says you don't need to type in 1 plus F. No, sir. Just need to type in flaps 1. Just need to type in flaps 1. All right. And technically, this information is going to be uplinked, at least where I work, and most airlines throughout the U.S. anyway that use a ACARS perf data system. A lot of them, they perf uplink it, and this page is automatically populated. So I could probably count on one time how many times I've actually came over here and touched the perf page manually to edit something other than, thrust reduction and engine out acceleration. That is something that I do modify. And if I look real quick, do we need to modify, this is a good point, Jeremy's bringing it up here, the engine out acceleration for Seattle. I don't have any information on that. I'd have to have a 10.9 page. I believe 1660, that sounds about right. We'll leave it at 1660. But that would be, I would find that engine out data in the current paperwork that comes with the aircraft. So, but other than touching thrust reduction and engine out, rarely type in there. Okay, we don't have ATC like I said, so let's just go ahead and dial this up to 10,000 feet. 3048 on the meter, or it's a little bit different. Let me check. We have a crosswind as well, 3029. 3029 is set. They're all synced up. We've got a crosswind about 15 knots. RVR is 500 feet. Let me pull up my charts. Nope. Let me pull up my Navigraph. Nope. Let me pull up my airports. Seattle. Boom. Airport 20-9. What is my toggle for this? I don't know what I just did there. Let's bind that real quick. Hold on. I'm going to bind that just like my still spot. No. That's default view. Do nothing. Let's do this one. What's IS, or what's Navigraph? Navigraph app. Nope, that's not it. Was it toggle tablet? There we go. There we go. No, I don't want that. I'm all out of practice. All right, there's our 10.9 page. So with visibility low like this is part of the Checkride, we need to do our RVR. So with RVR between 5 and 1,200 feet, this is the low vis taxi out. Low vis taxi out procedures going to 16 center. You can see we're probably going to come out here spot 7, and we can see as indicated by the white circles there, that is a low vis taxi route. 4 Bravo's reporting point. That's a lot of times they ask you to switch over there. 2 Bravo, and then eventually here are the stop bars out to 16 left and 16 center. Now I think for the ride, I think we actually use the charts that are less than 500 RVR. So let's use the lowest one out there. I believe this is the one we use. Yeah, I think normally in the sim it's less than 500 RVR. So this is the chart that we're going to use. Low vis taxi, you can see the arrows. This is the direction of traffic. So this is what you would expect. These are the charts that you need to have out, and use these instead of a regular taxi chart. So our taxi brief, we're going out 16 center. Low visibility. We're going to start both engines here at the gate. We're going to do all of our flight control checks here at the gate, and then we're going to go ahead and just be heads up during our taxi out. All right, so that is set. Like earlier, we don't have an APU, so we need to review and prepare for the ground power start. So if I pull out the COM checklist here for starting with an air start unit, before connecting the air start unit, packs off, APU bleed, engine bleeds, cross bleed, air start connect. Then we're going to start the engines when we're clear to start, and then we can end up doing a cross bleed. So at this point, let's go ahead. Are we closed up here? We're pretty much closed up. Let's just make sure everything's closed, close, 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 close. Hang on, let's do a before start checklist. Scratch that. Let's do a departure, a brief. All right, it's going to be a left seat departure out of here. We're in an Airbus A319. We got a low vis taxi routes up. We looked at that. It's going to be less than 500 RVR. We're going to expect taxi to 16 center. We're going to start both engines before taxiing because we want to be heads up. We have to get clearance from ground crew to do a cross bleed start. Hopefully after they push us off the gate, we can do a cross bleed, and then we'll continue our taxi to 16 center. All the way out to 16 center, when we get out there, we're scheduled to fly the Harib 6 RNAV departure. We got an ATC issued altitude up to 10,000 feet. Emergencies prior to V1 will be my decision to reject. I will bring the aircraft to a complete stop. We'll put the parking brake on, call flight attendant stations. I'll analyze the situation, call for any ECAM actions, or the emergency evacuation checklist as required. First officer does his spiel. If we lose an engine after V1, we will continue, treat it as an in-flight emergency. We're going to pull heading, activate secondary, manage nav. We're going to fly the Seattle 161 radial, outbound 1660 feet, call it 1700. Push to level off, speed up, clean up, accelerate, take care of the aircraft. We're not even going to touch the ECAM until we're above 400 feet AGL. From then on, we'll split duties, and then we'll come back around for an emergency landing back in Seattle, noting that we are going to be super low vis. We're probably going to need to do a Cat 3 approach coming in single engine. If all goes as well, though, we're on the Harib 6. It's out to, I think we're going all the way out to Hoquam. We're not going to fly all the way out there, though. One restriction on the SID, 3,000 feet over Renby. And technically this is a restriction here at above 932. Shouldn't be a problem before Otley. There's no other special considerations on the departure procedure. We are going to do a ground, air, and ground power start at the gate. If you have any questions? No questions. We have terrain on both sides. That's set up. And let's go ahead and call ground. Cockpit to ground, ground cockpit. Go ahead. Hey, are you guys ready for ground air start? He says, negative, Captain. We're going to go ahead and get the equipment hooked up and call you back. Roger that. We're going to configure the aircraft right now. So, air start, engine start with air start unit. Jeez. Before connecting the air start unit, pack 1, pack 2 off. So, pack 1, pack 2 off. APU bleed off. APU bleed, it is off. Engine bleed 1 off. Engine 1 bleed off. Engine 2 bleed off. Cross bleed open. Air start unit connection request. Hopefully at this point, ground the cockpit. Hey, we got your air start unit hooked up outside. We are ready when you are. Copy that. We're going to finish the checklist. We'll be right with you. At that point, beacon light's going to come on. We'll say ramp. What are we today? What's our call sign? We'll just say Bourbon 1, ramp Bourbon 1. We're going to be doing an air start here at the gate, looking for a start clearance. Okay, so copy that, Bourbon 1. Air start approved. Call me back when you're ready for pushback. Roger that. Clear to start. All right. When cleared to start engines, engine 2 start. For any operational reason, engine 1 can be started first, but we're going to start number 2 first on this particular one. After engine 2 is started, we'll disconnect external power and we can request a disconnection. So at this point, we are pretty much ready to go. Let's go ahead and bring the tiller cam online. Let's go engine start to ignition start. Ground and cockpit, we are ready to receive high pressure air. Copy that, Captain. High pressure air is coming at you. So at this point, you can see high pressure air is now flowing. Go ahead and clear to start engine 2. Copy. Starting engine 2. All Alright, so let's say we're in a start just like this. This is what's going to happen in the sim. We're starting engines. All of a sudden, we lose power. Abort. Abort. We've got an engine start abort. So this is one of the few reasons you will abort an automatic start. Engine tailpipe fire or loss of ground power. So we've got our ground power checked out off the jet bridge. They're like the horns calling you. They're saying, hey, connect GPU, all that. Hopefully we can get it connected back up. Look back up top here. External power back on. And now we've got to go through the self-test. I'm going to call the ground crew, say, hey guys, stand by. We got a power interruption. Disconnect the, or turn off the high pressure air, please. Turn off the high pressure air. We need to reconfigure the aircraft for engine start. So this is something that we haven't done on stream yet, and I haven't done in a very, very, very long time. But this is what's going to happen on my Checkride. Is we're going to do a engine power interruption during a start. So now we got to look at engine limitations for starting engines. So with these engines, we have the IAEs, V2500s. We still have our flight plan. That's good. But make sure you come down here. This is part of your checks because we fly all different types of engines. We do have the IAE V25A5. So we have different starter limitations. We've got 3 consecutive starts. We need at least 15 seconds between each start. So we've already had 15 seconds. Let's go ahead and reset the engine start switch to normal. We do not need to do another crank procedure. Now let me just check my book here to make sure I don't have any abnormal or anything else that I'd be missing. Ground power. I'm just trying to make sure I don't have any extra steps I'm supposed to take here if we lose that. Loss of power. I don't see anything here. All right. Cockpit to ground. You guys ready to try it again? Yes, sir. We're ready. All right. Applying high pressure air. High pressure air is applied. We're starting engine 2. Engine mode to ignition start. We've got pressure. Starting 2. With losing the external power, would you have to wait for the IRS to realign swarm? No, depending on how long you're sitting there without power. But a quick interruption like that, no, you don't need to do a realignment. Wow, where's my phone playing my own stream here in the background? That's weird. Love these start sounds. Fubar, no. I don't think I did anything different. Oh, man. Forgot to turn those on. And those. Jeez. Yeah, everything else is done, I think, right? Everything else is good. Air bleed 2 off. That's associated. Clear air. Clear air. Status. Associated. Clear status. All right, we got a good start on engine 2. Now, this is an interesting thing that I'm just thinking about right now. Well, yeah, we wouldn't be able to start engine 1 either because that hose is out there. Okay. All right, after engine 2 is started, external power, check avail. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. We've got an avail light now that prevents arcing and harm to the ground crew. External power, disconnect. Cockpit to ground, you're cool. You're good on air and power. Go ahead and disconnect both of those. All right, so those are going away. So they would be tightening up the hoses, all that good stuff. We're not going to do anything else down here. Engine start with an air start unit. Crossbleed start procedure. We're going to do that after that. All right, so at this point, ignition back to normal. We're not going to reconfigure yet at the gate. But we have a good start, and we are ready to push.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go. Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
And ramp control, Bourbon 1, we are the ground air start is complete. We're requesting pushback off of Charlie 17. Bourbon 1, pushback approved, Charlie 17, be ready to taxi out on Blue Line. Alright, so Blue Line is what they use here in Seattle. There's like different painted taxi lines. Here comes the tug through the wall, beautiful. And ramp, just be advised, Bourbon 1, we're going to need to do a crossbleed start as well. We'd prefer to do it before we start taxiing. Bourbon 1, roger that. Once you're pushed back and set, call me back for a crossbleed start approval. Bourbon 1, roger.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Alright, so he's going to go ahead and connect. Jetway is off. Our flaps are still up. You can see you can't see hardly anything. This is exactly, honestly, is not awesome as this may look to you guys. This is almost identical to what the Level D sims look like when you do low visibility stuff. Very, very similar to this. Christian, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, your eyes may hurt, but check this out, Christian. Look at these engines, dude. Look at those engines. Man.
So connected and bypassed in and service. Release parking brake.
Brakes released, clear to push. Oh.
Starting pushback.
Andrew Brown, welcome to Commercial Pilot, sir. Glad to have a new member on the channel. Welcome back, sir. Andrew Brown, exclamation point, welcome for your new perks on the channel at the V1 channel here, man. Thanks again for becoming a supporter with the Commercial Pilot membership. Jeremy says back to a more realistic pushback dialogue. Yeah, except I wasn't very realistic there at the gate. I got all frazzled when I had that blue screen, man. It threw me off. I had everything ready to go. But yes, the pushback dialogue with the better pushback in next plane is much better. Was the engine bleed 2 off to avoid reverse flow leakage? Correct, Cruz. You're absolutely correct. And we're going to leave, because we're going straight into a crossbleed procedure, we're leaving the panel set right now, because part of the procedure that I have, that you guys can't see on my actual iPad, basically we have some more steps to do, but we're going to do it in order here. So we still have the procedure open, we're finishing the pushback, we're going to get a crossbleed start approval here. But look at that visibility. That's almost exactly what it looks like. Done.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Brakes set. Clear to disconnect.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Alright, let's continue with the checks. If the crossbleed engine start procedure is used to start engine 1, air start unit, disconnection request. We've already requested and disconnected. Pack 1 on. Pack 1 on. Pack 2 on. Engine 2 bleed on. Crossbleed engine start procedure apply. So at this point we need to apply the crossbleed engine start procedure. I know we are required to know how we can land a robot on an asteroid, but we can't get a flyby camera at Microsoft.
So it's disconnected. Unbike Captain has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
All right, thank you for the smooth push. We'll talk to you next time. All right, so now I got to look up the crossbleed procedure. This reminds me I need to go ahead and bookmark all these on my iPad. All right, crossbleed engine start procedure. APU bleed off. Engine bleed supplying engine on. Engine bleed receiving engine off. Crossbleed open. When cleared to start. Okay, we are configured and ready to start. Ramp control Bourbon 1 pushback complete here in the alley. Request crossbleed start approved. Bourbon 1, roger that. I show you tail east. You're cleared for crossbleed. Minimal pressure, please. All right, minimal pressure, crossbleed approved for Bourbon 1. All right, when cleared to start, clear of obstacles, confirm. Thrust lever supplying engine. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and move the ignition switch to ignition start. And he also told us minimum pressure, so we're going to try to be gentle on this one as well. We're in an alleyway. Let's see what we can get away with here. I'm going to try about 30%. That looks plenty of pressure. And let's go ahead and start engine 1. We're going to monitor this one. See, pressure is holding nicely there at 30% N1. N2 is on the rise. I don't get to see this tomorrow, so let's just take a listen. Andrew Brown, exclamation point, welcome, my friend. Okay. That should get it for you, buddy. Aaron Hastings says, found out from a recent flight deck to SimStream that a 7.3 crossbleed start is very similar, requires specific engine PSI. Yeah, they suggest, I think like the number is like 28 PSI minimum. Now the IAEs are very good at crossbleeding. You just need minimal pressure and they hold pressure pretty good. That's a veil. Go ahead and bring this back down to idle. That's associated, clear the caution, clear air, clear air. Status, associated, clear status. After start, thrust lever, supplying engine, idle. Crossbleed to the auto position, crossbleed, auto. Engine bleed, receiving engine, on. Pack 1 and 2 on, check. That is the end of the crossbleed start procedure. Both engines are started. Let's go right into our after start flow. So we're gonna go back to normal. Arm the speed brakes. We're going to do trip reset, flaps 1. Oh, they sound good at idle, I'll tell you that. And no APU to shut down on top. Everything else looks good. And our trim was like 0.1 down or something like that. Set. All right. After start checklist, please. Engine anti-ice. In this case, we do not need it. It's 14C, but if it was less than 14, if it was less than 10C right now, with this this visibility, we would definitely have engine anti-ice on because this is visible moisture, and we are definitely in it. But at 14C, not required. Engine anti-ice off, yellow pump soft, rudder trim 0. After start checklist is completed. We'll get to Brian's message here before we taxi out and look at our biggest charts here. Brian, thank you for the $5 super chat, sir. He says, I missed yesterday's stream. Just wanted to say thanks to the person who gifted me a membership. Brian, that's awesome. Glad you have a membership. Welcome on board. Probably Sim Aviator, if I had to guess. I believe he gifted some memberships yesterday. But awesome. Glad to have you here, man. And Seattle ground, Bourbon 1 ready to taxi. Bourbon 1 taxi, 16 center via Bravo. And call Bravo and hold short at spot 5. Bravo, hold short at spot 5, Bourbon 1. All right, let's go ahead and do our checks before we go. Let's do a flight control. Rudder. And the reason we're doing this, I can't arm those for some reason. Yeah, I still can't bind it. And spoilers on and cabin. Let's go. Too much fun. Too much fun. All right, we got to be serious though. So this is part of the ride, is being able to navigate in low vis here. We're at 1/6 center. We're taking the outer, and we're going to hold short at spot 5. Brake check. Pressure 0. And I would call for a mini brief. First officer would do a mini brief. Taxi light is on, Team Valkyrie. I just don't think you can see it. Oh no, maybe I wasn't. Thought I clicked it. Ghost mode. Sometimes, whoa. Sometimes in visibility like this though, lights even make it worse. Sometimes we use the turn off lights. Alright, so here we go. This is the single yellow, which means that is a ramp exit, not a runway entrance. I'm gonna go ahead and turn right here. I don't really want to use the that map because I don't want to cheat. Let's see my position. Oh my gosh. Visibility is crazy. Alright, so there's our green lights. Spot 5. Man, I love the spool of the Toliss IEs. So spot 5. We're looking for spot 5. This is why you do all your flight control checks at the gate and the visibility this low. You want to have both pilots heads up and outside. I'm hoping spot 5 will be painted on the... It should be. What do we got here? This is Juliet. So this would be technically it right here, Juliet. So there would be a big circle on the pavement here, and it would say spot 5, which if I kind of cheat view, you could see it's not there. All right, Bourbon 1, continue taxi 1/6 center via Bravo. 1/6 center via Bravo, Bourbon 1. We're going to continue our taxi. God, I love those flyby views. Andrew says, I'm current 20 hours in PPL, but was wondering if airlines still do the pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. No, not really. That's not how it's really taught. Similar, but not. Gotta hand it for the F-mod sounds, yeah. Here's another spot there with those lights. That's for Bravo. Sometimes in this check ride, I'll say that they have a turn right here. I'm going to taxi to the outer. Alright. Should be getting towards the end here. For 1/6 center at Charlie. We're going to have to cross 1/6 left. Make sure you hold short of 1/6 left. Alright, so here's 1/6 left. There's the first one. We're going to the Charlie, which is full length. still keep going. That's not us. One more, I believe. Alright, this should be us here at the very end. Bourbon 1, Seattle Tower. Cleared to cross 16 left. Report holding short, 16 center. Alright, clear to cross 16 left, report holding short of 16 center. Now in this case you can't visually clear, so we take a look at the TCAS, make sure there's no traffic. We'll get our lights on, our uppers on anyway. We're going to cross 16 left and report holding short of 16 center. I have seen somebody line up on the wrong runway in a low-vis scenario, so that's part of the training. God, these idle sounds are amazing. Alright, here's 16 center. I like to stop the airplane just so I can see the red off the nose, right about there. Make sure you are short of, or you're clear of 16 left, which you would be in this case. We'll go parking brake on. We kill the lights, which Toliss makes you go up and down. And Seattle Tower, Bourbon 1 holding short, 16 center, ready for departure. Bourbon 1, RNAV Otley, 16 center, clear for takeoff. RNAV Otley, 16 center, clear for takeoff, Bourbon 1. Alright, we're going to light it up. Final is clear, no TCAS here. TARA. Let's go. Alright, well, I don't judge my lineups because I'm doing flyby views. But here we go. Are you guys ready? We are ready. Nose forward on the stick. Now, this is a check that sometimes you'll get a bust here. I just want to remind myself. So if there's a crosswind, a heavy crosswind, greater than 15 knots, instead of forward pressure, it would actually be full nose down, full forward stick. But with just a light crosswind like that, just your normal forward pressure will be sufficient. Brakes release, here we go. Spool them up 50. 1.05 EPR is what we're looking for. Man flex. SRS. Auto thrust blue. Man flex SRS runway auto thrust blue. There we go. Thrust set. 100 knots, check. V1. We'll rotate. I guess the gear handle was up. Positive freight. Gear up. I don't know why we're not on the track. Nav. Flyby. Shadow the controls until 2,500 feet. Get that nose down nice and easy. There's our positive trend in airspeed. Thrust climb, climb, auto thrust. Oh, we're getting a flickering livery submitment. What's up with that? There we go. Resetting. S-speed, flap 0. After takeoff checklist. A little bit of nose forward stick there, just like in real life. Look at that. Absolutely love it. Let the airplane accelerate. Let's go ahead and climb to 4,000 feet. Go autopilot on. Speed alt star. Continue right turn, heading 270. 270 on the heading. And I'm going to want to adjust these clouds so we can stay. Stay in IMC. That's what we need. So let me do a quick customize. We add another cloud layer, overcast cumulus. Let's bring that right on top of there. Done. Apply. I want it to be in the clouds. Hold on. Close enough. Alright, coming to 270, 4,000 feet. And we're going to do our steep turn checks. Trying to get my PFD and ND set up so we can look at those if we need them. Alright, here comes 270. Alright, autopilot off. Flight director's off. Give me the bird. We'll do this one with the auto thrust on. We got to do 2 turns. So we're going to do 180 degrees to the right, 180 degrees to the left. Let's go ahead and start to the right, rolling in. Remember, we talked about all this yesterday. If you want to know exactly what I'm demonstrating here, check out yesterday's stream. Going to roll it in, roll that bank in. Holding 4,000 feet. Get right back on it. There we go. Nose forward. So we climbed 100 feet. Back down on it. I only went 90 right though, so I should have went all the way to 090. Get back down to 4,000. Here comes 10 prior to 270. Roll it out. Anticipate that climb with some forward pressure. Go. I didn't like that one. Let's go ahead and just do one to the left as a practice, as an additional practice. So we're stable. Let's do one more to the left. Let's go all the way around. So I rolled out at 360 and it threw me off. I needed to go all the way to 090. I love that 4,100 feet in the Toliss, that's for sure. Here's 10 prior, start the rollout. Let's come through and back to 270. About 20 feet low. Lock it in right there, lock it in. That's what you want right there. That's what you want. Alright, here comes 10 prior. Start rolling it out. Remember, don't let the airplane climb. We'll nose forward pressure. A little too much there. That's alright. And right back to 270. Beautiful. That is the one I like. That's the one I like. Let's take a look at this. Can we see ourselves? There we go. Alright, rebuild the automation. Let's go flight director. Flight director, autopilot 1. And let's just go back to normal flight director, vertical speed 0. That's fine. Alt heading. Okay. Now we're going to do a recover at the first sign of a stall. So power comes to idle. And I forgot, let me put this up front here so you guys can watch the ECAM. So at this maneuver, we're just going to recover at the first sign of a stall. Yeah, plus or minus 100 feet. And it's basically where you roll out at. You want to make sure you roll out on the altitude that you left at. Alright, so you're flying along, da-da-da-da-da. Andrew Brown, absolutely, man. Absolutely. What you learn at your PPL with 20 hours, like you said, I mean, that applies all the way throughout the career of your career flying, man. No Shondells and Lazy 8s, though. Absolutely. None of those. I love doing Lazy 8s. All right, so you're distracted. You're talking about, I don't know, whatever you're talking about, hot tubs and pools and all the good stuff at your overnight. And all of a sudden, you get a autopilot disconnect. Stall, I have control. Lower the nose. Now start working it out. If I had my FO, it would cancel that. There we go. Now recovering back up to 4,000. So in that case, that was the first sign of the stall, was that autopilot disconnect. So at this point, let's go ahead and go flight director's off. Let's go idle power. Let's go ADR 1, 3 off. Let's go Captain 3, flaps 1. In a turn here, 15 degrees. Let's hold 10 degrees pitch. So we'll go flaps 2 now. So you're on departure. You're in a right-hand turn, about 10 degrees. And again, we're going to recover at the first sign of the stall. Let's keep the bird on as well. Stall, I have control.
Stall.
Already out of VLS. Recover. Alright. Let's go back to idle. Now the last stall we're going to do is a direct law stall, gear down. Gear down from alternate law puts the airplane in what? Direct law. Direct law, we have twice the normal rate of roll rate, up to 30 degrees per second, very twitchy. Total pitch attitude of about 5 degrees, VFE next, flaps 3, and flaps full. Oh, see how pitchy it is? We're just going to hold about 5 degrees. This is a direct law stall into a go-around. First sign of a stall. In the sim, you can feel that pitch trim down, or that pitch trim inhibit, I should say. We'll take it to a little bit deeper stall on this one. See right there, that's the first sign of a stall for me, but I'm gonna hold it. I wanna go a little bit further. Let's see if I can trigger it. There it is. Stall, I have control. Lower the nose. You don't wanna bury that in the dirt though, because look, we're only at 4,000 feet. You don't wanna bury it in the dirt. Out of VLS, start recovering the trajectory. Easy on the pitch. There's a reversal of the trend. Go around flaps. Flaps up one step. Positive rate. Gear up. Stall Toga 15 is the call. We're at stall. We're Toga 15. Now let's go ahead and lower the nose. We'll aim to recover at 5,000 feet. There's F-speed. Flaps 1. Speed checks. Flaps 1. 200 feet to level off. S-speed, flap 0 after takeoff checklist. There's 5,000 feet. And we'll let it come up to 250 knots. Or thereabouts. Alright, I'm happy with all of those. Alright, that concludes our air work. I'm happy with those. We'll go back on. We'll go back on. Let's go FAC. Where are you? All right, we're back in normal law. Beautiful. All right. Rebuild our automation. Flight Director 1, Flight Director 2, Autopilot 1, Auto Thrust. Need to be in the climb detent. All right, let's go back to normal. And where are we at? Flight plan, direct. Secondary, activate secondary, direct to Anvil. Let's go. Vertical speed nav, let's ascend to 4,000 feet. Here we go. Thrust idle, open descent nav. All right. I was completely away from the chat there. Let me get back to it. What is the tolerance for altitude? So Elaine is saying there's not. Are you talking about for the stalls? So for stalls, it's a little bit different. You're basically looking for positive aircraft control, and there's not a set loss of altitude required anymore during recovery. Now, it says not to have excessive altitude loss, but for us at the ATP level, you're not trying to minimize altitude loss because you're demonstrating more so of the aircraft control. You're going to give up some altitude to get the airplane stable, which is fine, but you don't want to give up too much altitude and obviously have something bad happen. But as far as stalls, there is no additional requirements. So let's go ahead and set up for a Cat 3. Actually, you know what? I want to do an RNAV real quick. Let's do an RNAV. Let's do the RNAV 16 Center Zulu insert. Well, we're going to go flight plan. No, what's going on here? Flight plan. Let's go secondary. Activate secondary. This is happening to me the other day. Well, we're going to go flight plan. Arrival. Approach via. Let's just do this. Insert. For some reason, I can't get it to come up. Would you have to report a stall to a company? That's automatically going to get reported, man. A stall is automatically going to get reported because that's a FOQA event. All right, we'll just stick with the ILS 16 Center on this one then. I'm going to set the weather visibility to Cat 3 NINS, IFR Cat 3. Let's go ahead and descend and maintain. We got 4,000 set, so let's go ahead and stay at 4,000. Let's fly heading 020. And we'll draw a line off Magnum. I want to do the RNAV, but that's fine. We'll do this instead. Final approach course. .64, which would be 344 in. Full heading. Alright, so this one we're going to do basically auto land. Slow to 180. VFing next -10, flaps 1. Are you allowed to lose some altitude during steep turns, or do you have to maintain altitude perfect? No, you can lose altitude. Want to keep it within 100 feet. Want to keep it within 100 feet. Alright, we're going to do a Cat 3 auto land. Then we're going to jump into our single engine stuff. So we're coming around. Why don't I have like the proper... Wait a second. That did it. That did it. I didn't activate. We're going to put no DH here. And minimums... What's the weather? Barrow is 290902. All right, let's go flaps 2. Do you have to fill out an ASAP or some kind of safety program after each flight? Not after each flight, Mickey. Not after each flight. But if there is an event, a safety reportable event, then yes. All right, you can see with the IE engines, our flaps are extended. That means we're at approach idle, and the ignition, auto ignition is triggered up here on the ECAM. That is correct. We've got glide slope blue, Lodestar, no DH is set, Cat 3 dual. We've got a couple extra call-outs for the Cat 3. So I'll try to hit those. There's glide slope star if we have to go missed. Go around altitude is at or below 2,000 feet initially. So we got 2,000 feet set. Glide slope star. There is no minimum for a Cat 3. There is no minimum for a Cat 3 approach. Now, depending on the type of Cat 3 you do, but for this example, fail operational, no DH set. We're going to take this all the way down to 0-0. Basically, we're checking for call-outs. There is a briefing that I'm not going to bore you guys with, but I would do an audible briefing. Go through that. We'll consider ourselves briefed. We're going to use auto brakes low and flaps full. Touchdown zone is 430 feet, so call it 500. So we want to be stable by 1,500 feet. Now, once we get low to the ground, we should lose a lot of the ground contact, but it doesn't look all that bad with Orbix out there. The Orbix doesn't look bad, that's for sure. Alright, we got our NDs and PFDs up and running. We've got the ECAM up. Let's go ahead and wait for 2,500. Proper altimeter, so we're already behind. Let's go manage speed. Gear down. Flaps 3. And VFU next -10, flaps full. Don't know why I can't arm those. Anon got stuck doing work stuff, so only just made it. Have to watch back from the start later. No worries, Anon. Welcome, man. We're just doing our Cat 3 auto land right now. After the auto land, we're going to get into our single engine stuff. So it's just about to start getting a little bit more exciting. We just knocked out our maneuvers. You can see Toliss is doing a good job of flying this. Soto 1900 back there checked. If it helps you prep, V1 brief away, you never get bored. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, and I think that once we get down low, the visibility will go away. I don't know why. This is just X-plane being X-plane. There's our landing inhibit at a 750 feet, our AGL.
500. 400.
Land green.
300. 200.
Terrain.
100.
That wouldn't be there.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Oh, what a butter. What a butter from the Toliss Autoland. Spoilers. Reverse screen. Decel. Manual brakes. What an absolute Toliss butter. Alright. Pretty good on the auto land there. We got our land green. Everything looked good. Now let's just do a quick review. If we were to get at JipWiz, which that wouldn't happen there at 169. I don't know why. Toliss has always done that coming into this airport in particular. But JipWiz, basically autopilot off, full up, Toga thrust, bank maintain, spoilers check, retract, don't change configuration until you clear the obstacle. That's the auto flight, autopilot off. Cool. All right, now we're going to do our quick reset here, which makes it really easy on the Toliss. Gotta love it. Seattle takeoff. Let's go ahead and load this situation. Back at it here. All right, now we're going to do an RTO, but we're going to do it in a lower vis than this. So let me go ahead and make sure everything else is set. Let's adjust the fog here. Why is it so... IFR Cat 3. Alright, there we go. We're going to do an RTO in this situation right here. Too bad you can't set weather in Vex Enviro. At least you got to have something to look. Christian, so okay, I thought I was going crazy. Yeah, I had X Enviro on, but I couldn't change the weather the way I wanted to with X Enviro. That sucks. Oh well. Flaps to take off. We'll go flaps 1. Brake is on for now. We'll go ahead and go brakes off. Takeoff config. Check. Spoilers armed. Yeah, I wonder if I have a conflicting binding somewhere. I'm gonna have to double check. That's okay. This is a good question. Real quick, let me see if I can remember. So if we're armed, when do spoilers deploy? So if you're not armed, if the speed breaker lever is not armed, but you're on the ground, as long as one thrust lever is below idle and the other is in the reverse position, you're going to get spoiler deployment. So if you select reverse thrust on either engine, you will get spoilers to deploy even though they're not armed. All right, that's good. When do they retract? I believe it's like 20 degrees thrust lever angle. They would retract. So at this point, let's do our high-speed RTO. So what is our speeds? 121, 141, 144. Let's inject a new fault engine. We'll do an engine 2 flame out at IAS. 115. And we're gonna bump, let's actually, you know what, let's do this. Let's go 135. I want to make it a little bit harder. And let's do a 120. Apply. Alright. If we get spoilers with the first enemy, why do we arm them? That's a great question. But it has to do with... drawn a blank. I'll get back to you on that one, Jeremy. I just reviewed that. I literally just reviewed that portion of my study guide. I'll get back to you in a second, though. My mind is set on an RTO. Here we go. 50. Abort. Abort, 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 abort. Frickin' chocks are on. Here we go. RTO number 1. Here we go. Manflex SRS runway. Auto thrust is blue. Thrust set. 100 knots, check. Reject. I have control. Oh boy. That one was nasty. Oh my god, that was a nasty one. Let's do that one again. Let's reset. That one was nasty. Let's watch the replay on that one and let's do it again, because that one, we could do better than that. We can do better than that. How do I do replay? So yeah, it's a little bit more difficult with low vis. And that's when you're gonna do your RTO, is you're gonna do it in super low vis. So let's go ahead and watch it again. We can do better than that. Oof. So I come back, gotta come back to that. We're safe, but man, 120 knots. Let's go back again. What happened there? Why did we? Let's watch. Hold on. Everything came up symmetrically. So we lost. What engine did we fail? We failed 2. So we failed 2. Yaw to the right. Just too much initial rudder. Just too much. Yeah, just too much rudder on that one. Too much rudder on that one. All right, let's exit replay mode. Reset. Reset all. Apply now. Situations. Reset. Definitely had a little bit of overcorrection on that one. Alright, let's try this fault again. And I want to do another high speed one, so we're going to bump this up 135. And then we're going to do another fault. Let's get rid of chocks. And we'll do another, add new fault. Let's do the same thing. Let's do the same one. That was an engine 2, flame out, IS, 120 knots. That's moving. 120 knots. Oh, I didn't hit apply. At IS, yeah, I did. Okay, 120 knots. We're primed up. Park brake is off. Flaps 1, takeoff config check. Spoilers arm, auto brakes max. Cabin, forward call. Here we go. Yeah, Fubar, it's just like what I was talking about yesterday. If you can't see the end of the runway, it's very challenging. But this is why we do it. Now, with that one that I just did would have been satisfactory, but it's not satisfactory for my standards. So here we go. Let's do it again. Spool them up 50. Manflex 55 SRS runway auto thrust blue. We've got a nice little crosswind too. Knots, check. Engine failure, reject. I have control. Flight attendant stations. That was much better. That was much better. Not perfect. Not perfect. But it is much better. I'm happy with that one. I keep forgetting. There we go. Let's back it up. Let's watch that one again. Oh, did I leave the engine page off on that one? Sorry. So what's also different is I also have a 15 knot crosswind. So that's also affecting that. Let's watch it from the tail view here. You can see I'm fighting to, there's a failure. Get it forward. Not too much, nice and easy, work it back. It's okay if you're not on the center line, you just don't want to overcorrect back. That one we stopped a little bit quicker too, a little bit better. I'll take that one. I'll take it. I'll take it. Let's go ahead and end replay mode. Now let's do one, just do one more, but I want to do something different. So let me reset, apply. Let's go ahead and go right back to that scenario. Seattle takeoff, load it. We're going to do something a little bit different on this one. I want to do not an engine failure. I want to do something else that'll trigger an RTO. So, and we're going to do it at a very high speed. So let's just say our speeds are like 140, 41, 44. And we're going to do a fire. Let's do... Let's do the opposite. Let's do an engine 1 fire. I wish I could do a reverser unlock. That's really violent. IS 130 knots, 132 knots, and we'll do it in Toga. Okay, yeah, we'll do this one in Toga, Kyle. So this one, this is what we're going to simulate here. And you know what? Just for the sake of it, I know it's not realistic. Let's jump the temperature up. Let's say it's a super hot day in Vegas, and you have to do a Toga takeoff. So, and for some reason, just high temps, Toga takeoff, we just EGT out, and we get an engine fire or something like that. So super hot, still low vis. Gross weight is 139,000 pounds, so we're still pretty heavy. We're over max landing weight. I'll bring up the engine page over here for you. Now this one will be a little bit different in the fact that the yaw movement is going to, I don't even know if we'll get a yaw on this one, because I think it's just going to illuminate fire. But let's give it a shot. Those freaking chocks. Those chocks. And let's go ahead and on the auto brakes, because that would be a no-go. Here we go. We'll do this one in Toga. Man Toga, SRS nav, auto thrust blue. Look at those EGTs. Look at them. Were they that hot before? We're gonna have to do another one to test. 80 knots, thrust set. See that crosswind, it's having a hard time with the center line. 100 knots, check. Reject, I have control. Jeez. Spoilers, reverse screen. Decel, 70 knots, use it to aircraft stop. Alright, I have control. Now remember our crew briefing. The FO is going to notify ATC that we're stopping on the runway if we need emergency vehicle assistance. What am I doing? Parking brake set, flight attendant stations. Okay, engine 1 fire, engine 1 master, push, engine 1 master, off. Engine 1 master, off. Engine fire push button, 1. Push. Engine fire 1 push button. Push. Agent 1, 2 discharge. Agent 1 discharge. Now we're on the ground, so you do not have to wait to confirm. That's why I'm going through these step by step, and I'm executing them. In the air, it is identify or verify 1, verified, and then you turn it off. On the ground, you just step right through them. Engine master 2 off. ATC VHF notify, evac command on, and we'll do that. So you guys have seen that. I'm not going to do that whole thing right now. I want to watch that one. Let's go replay. Let's wind it up. That one's scary because I saw, like, I was getting ready to go V1 and like take my hand off, and then we caught a fire. Agent 1 and 2, make sure, that's a good question. Basically, there's 2 fire bottles in each engine. So you have Agent 1, which is its own bottle, and then you have Agent 2, which is a separate bottle. So you have 2 bottles in each engine. And Aaron, I saw your question yesterday. Would you hear the squibs? I don't believe so. I don't believe you'd hear the squibs. All right, so here we go. Let's say you're this passenger right here. Will we see flames? I mean, we were moving. 130 knots. There's the flames. We're literally ejecting at V1. Spoilers. So we still have hydraulics. We can still get the reverse out. That's nasty. Way to keep control though. We'll stop it on the center line. Beautiful. Would passengers hear the bang? Oh, there's your question. No, I don't think so, Aaron. And I say I don't think because I don't know for sure, but I don't believe so, man. I don't believe so. I could be wrong. I don't want to find out though either. So, all right, let's reset. Now I want to test one thing here. We're gonna do one more thing because on that one, remember I said I wanted to find out like what are the EGT model? How's the EGT modeled in the Phoenix? So let's go back to Seattle takeoff load. So on that takeoff, we were at like what 535C or 535. Like we were up there on the EGTs because I had the temps way up. Let's just do one last one here. Let's just do one last one, a super high speed one. We'll do 140. We'll do one more super high speed abort, but we're gonna keep the temps down. And I'm gonna just, for testing purposes, I don't know where that sound is coming from. Let's just say the temperature is like 4. Apply, and in this case we'd have both have both of those on, and let's go fault scenarios. Engine 1, let's go back to engine 2, flame out. IS, it was 596 ain't on? All right. So let's keep that in mind. 596. So for the IEs on the 319s, we have 635, 610 MCT, and 635 for takeoff and go around. So our EGT limit is 635. So we're below that, but 596, that's getting up there. All right, and I just want to do this one because I want to see. I just want to see if the temps are any different. All right, so 127 is this is our last RTO. Auto brakes max, takeoff config checked. Set engine page up for you guys. All right, after this, we're actually going to take it after V1. But let's watch the temps on this one. We're going to do Toga as well. So the only thing different is the temperature of the outside air. Man Toga, SRS, nav, auto thrust blue. I'm too busy looking at my temps in the upper left. Look at that, the temps are much cooler, 550 EGT, 100 knots, let's pay attention now. Engine failure, reject, I have control. Damn, that was spicy. That one was fast. 130 knots. Flight attendant stations. I'm just going to hit this button here. This fake button is flight attendant station button. That was cool. That was really cool. So we got to see the EGTs are nicely simulated with respect to outside air temperature. Now we're going to have to test the Phoenix for sure. All right, real quick, let's look at this RTO. So we're coming down the runway. I'm too busy looking at my left-hand screen. We get an engine failure here. There's the yaw, correct. A little bit of drift. There you go. Work it back. There you go. Not bad. Not super pretty, but it's over-dramatized because I've got that crosswind component in the sim. But I'm okay with that because I'd rather have it harder today than easier. All right, we need a flight attendant station emoji. That would be a good one. That would be good. All right, let's reset for the last time. Apply now, and let's go back to our. I've got a V1 cut profile ready to go. So we're gonna hit V1 cut load, and I'm just gonna get super loud for a minute. I don't know why it does that. I apologize. Everything else looks good. Our secondary, auto brakes, max, TARA, everything looks good. Now, I wanted to answer Jeremy's question real quick. I'm going to give you guys an ad while I do this. So Jeremy asked, what's the difference, or why do we even arm the speed brakes if they'll deploy when you get thrust into reverse? And that's a great question. Basically has to do with thrust lever angle. So I'm going to read straight out of the book why this happens. So discussing ground spoiler logic on a rejected takeoff. The ground spoilers, if the ground spoilers are armed and the speed exceeds 72 knots, the ground spoilers will automatically extend as soon as both thrust levers are set to idle. So if you arm them, Jeremy, and I go to idle thrust, the speed brakes, or the spoilers, ground spoilers, are going to deploy. If they are not armed and the speed exceeds 72 knots, ground spoilers will automatically extend as soon as reverse is selected on one engine. The other thrust lever remains at idle. So basically, that's kind of what we just demonstrated that. We lose an engine, one engine remains at idle, the other engine goes into reverse. That, even though the speed brakes are not armed, they would deploy in that scenario. To sum it up, as far as rejected takeoff logic, selecting at least idle reverse will always provide ground spoiler deployment. Now on landing, similar but different. So if the speed brake lever is not in the retracted position, or the ground spoilers are armed and both main landing gears are on the ground, thrust levers are below idle, or reverse selected on at least one engine, and the other engine is below the MCT position, these spoilers would deploy. If they're not armed, you need to select at least reverse on one engine and the other thrust lever below MCT with both mains on the ground. So as far as RTOs are concerned, it basically depends on going to idle versus selecting reverse thrust. So no matter how you have your spoilers configured, as long as you select reverse thrust, they will deploy, even if you forget to arm them. So that's just kind of a safety feature. So let's go ahead and hit forward. This is going to be our actual V1 cut now. We're going to take it airborne. Let's just verify our secondary is set up. With the PBD, and our perf speeds are set, 41, 41, 44, flex of 55. Okay, let's get this is the real deal V1 cut now. This is I only want to do this one time if I can help it. Well, I don't really need that screen up. We're going to put this screen up here to the top left so you guys can look at the ECAM actions. Everything else is good. Lights are on. How about ground chocks? They are pulled, and power is pulled. We've got a flame out scheduled at V1 speed. Worst case scenario, literally at V1. 10-mile range, constraint mode on, 18,000 is set. Here we go. Brakes released. Spool them up 50. Let's do it. Man flex, SRS nav, auto thrust blue. Not sure what that is. Sound bug. Thrust set. 100 knots, check. V1. Engine failure. Get it straight, rotate. Nice and easy, positive rate. Gear up. 12.5 degrees on the beta target. Trim, trim, trim. Nav. Autopilot 1. Select heading. Activate secondary. Manage nav. Engine failure. ECAM actions. Engine 2 fail. Engine mode selector. Ignition. Now, that was in the wrong position from our last takeoff, so don't mind that. Thrust lever 2, idle. Confirm thrust lever 2. Confirm. Idle. If no relight after 30 seconds, engine master 2 off. Alright. Tower Bourbon 1, we lost an engine on departure, declaring an emergency. We're going to continue outbound on Seattle 161 radial. Stand by with, just standing by for a turn. We want to come back and Seattle. Okay, copy that, Bourbon 1. Cool. Alright, so we're looking at 1660 feet now for acceleration altitude. I'm just going to wait for that because we're waiting for 30 seconds here anyway. All right, approaching 1660, which is our single engine acceleration altitude. We're going to push to level off. Vertical speed 0. Continuing the ECAM. Engine 2 master off. Confirm engine 2 master. Confirm. Off. If damage, engine fire push button 2 push. So for the sake of the time of the stream, we're going to consider that it is damaged, and we're not going to attempt to relight it. So engine fire 2 push button. Confirm. Confirm. Push. Agent 1 discharge after 8 seconds. Agent 1 discharge. Alright. Engine 2 relight consider does not apply. Clear the caution. Clear engine 2. Clear engine 2. Yeah, we got a little funky man flex going on there. I'm going to try to trigger MCT. There we go. Stop ECAM. Flap 0. Continue ECAM. Alright, continue ECAM. You can see we got MCT up there now. If no fuel leak, imbalance monitor. We're going to monitor that. TCAS mode select. TA only. Don't want it to thrust back. We'll go ahead and continue climb. Bourbon 1, continue climb, maintain 5,000. Alright, thrust MCT, open climb. Bourbon 1, you ready to take a turn? Yes, we're ready to take a turn. Alright, turn right heading 330. Turn right heading 330, Bourbon 1. Thrust MCT, open climb heading. Crossbleed, shut. Come up here, crossbleed is shut. Avoid icing conditions. Clear engine 2, clear engine 2. All right, we've got a couple in-op systems to read. We've got a land ASAP message. We've declared emergency. Hydraulics. PTU has picked up the load for the yellow system. Clear hydraulics. Clear hydraulics. Electrical page. Engine 1 is powering AC bus 1 and AC bus 2. I'd like to start the APU. Let's go ahead and start the APU. Clear electric. Clear electric. Bleed. You've got 1 bleed powering the system. Copy, clear bleed. All right, status. Stop status. Let's do an after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist, gear is up, flaps are retracted to position 0. We are disarmed, and everything else looks good. All right. At this point, like I said before, multiple pilots, multi-crew, right? 2 pilots are going to be doing multiple different things. So I'm going to kind of play the role of the other pilot now. So I'm going to set up for the approach back into Seattle. So at this point, I'm going to go Seattle, ILS 16 center, no star, no via, insert. We are in selected speed. Let's go ahead and select speed here, green dot, with about 210 knots. Let's go ahead and activate and confirm the approach phase. I remember it wouldn't let me do this before for some reason. I'm on 16 center, boom, insert, burp, activate, confirm. Why won't it let me do that? (29902). Temperature was 15. Winds were 090 at 15. DA is 630. Set. Alright, we're climbing up to 5,000. Actually, it wouldn't stop the climb at 4,000. Speed alt start. Alright, status. Read status. One pack only if wing anti-ice on, Cat 3 single only. In-op systems, wing anti-ice, Cat 3 dual, engine 2 bleed, pack 2, gen 2, yellow engine 2 pump. All right, clear status, clear status. All right, approach phase is activated. 1-6 center, let's get our LS push buttons on. LS push buttons on. 4,000 feet, 210 knots. We're going to continue outbound towards Anvil. So let's fly heading 345. I'm going to make a call to the flight attendants via the emergency call. How's it going, Captain? What can I do for you? It's like, hey, you probably felt that on departure. We had an engine failure. I think we're going to, we had an engine failure. We're going to come back and land in Seattle here. We should be on the ground in about 5 minutes. I don't anticipate using the brace command. I don't have any special instructions for you at this time, but once we get on the ground, just be ready. I'm going to use the standard as standard. I'll call for flight attendant stations, and we'll go from there. And I think we're going to do an evac anyway on the ground when we get on the ground. But cool, they're briefed. Send a message to dispatch, let them know, hey, we had an engine failure. We're coming back to land in Seattle, 1-6 center, copy that. ATC is already notified. At this point, this is when you would start talking more to ATC. They're going to want to know your souls on board. You're going to want to know your fuel on board in pounds and minutes. So we got 16,800 pounds of fuel on board, and we've got, I don't know, what, 150 souls or whatever it is on this airplane. So they know we have crash, fire, and rescue standing by. You could then at that point squawk emergency, but typically we leave it on our previous assigned squawk code. So they're briefed. Company, we talked to company, we talked to ATC, we talked to the flight attendants. Last thing we can do, make a PA, folks on the flight deck. As you felt on departure there, we lost an engine. Nothing to worry about though. We've got the aircraft under control. And we're going to just make a precautionary landing back in Seattle. I do apologize for this inconvenience. We should have you on the ground here in about 5 minutes. I do ask that you follow and pay close attention to the flight attendant instructions, as they're going to have some key instructions for you as we approach Seattle. Thank you for your time. Again, sorry for this inconvenience. Basically just keep it low key so they're not freaking out, right? All right, so engine is secured. We talked to everybody. Our approach is set up. We're coming back around. Long story short, at this point you could go to the COM, which is your additional procedures. And basically what would happen if you go to the Airbus FCOM or the COM or whatever you use, and you go through the same procedure that we just went through, the only step that's not on the ECAM that would be there is it talks about the pack bleed. So depending on which engine fails, you could use APU bleed air to relieve the pack. And I believe it depends on engine 2. So let me see real quick. Let me look it up. So engine fail checklist. We've done all that. If no damage, boom. So now we do the engine shutdown checklist. So then you go to the FCOM engine shutdown, engine 1-2 shutdown. And here we go. This is the one step that's in the book, but it's not on the ECAM. And it says, if available. We're all out of coffee. Thank you, C2A Banking. I'll check right back at you, sir. It says, if available, the APU may be started and APU generator used. If the engine fire 1 push button switch is pushed, APU bleed must not be used. APU bleed may be used if the engine 2 fire push button switch is pushed, provided the crossbleed rotary selector is selected to the shut position. So we have engine 2 push button push. This is shut. So now what we can do is we can unload the pack. So if I pull up the bleed page here, you can see that the engine 1 is doing all of the load, right? So what I can do now is I can come up here and go APU bleed on, and that's going to unload the pack. So now APU bleed is on, and that's going to take over. Air bleed, air cross bleed default. That's normal. Clear air, clear air. That's associated. So if you look at the bleed page here, now look. So now our pack is unloaded. Oh, I'm sorry, the engine 1 is unloaded and APU has picked up the load. Because if you only have one engine, you don't want to be stressing it out, right? As much as you can. All right, we kind of shot past that a little bit. Let's come all the way around to 110. And we go ahead and proceed for our approach. Does your Checkride cover bank angle checks? Dude, I wish. I wish, my friend. Alright, we're going to come around for the final single engine hand flown ILS. Let me just double check that I have the wind set up here. I didn't see it on takeoff. Let's bring this back down. And it's 090 at 13. That's fine. Let's just go ahead and turn it all the way inbound. Let's go turn direct to Anvil, insert. Nav. Let's go ahead and select flaps 1. Arm the approach. AP2 is armed. Glide slope blue, low blue, Cat 3 single, autopilot 1+2. Status as associated, clear status. Cat 3 single. Random question, what is the difference between AOA and flight path angle? The flight path angle, well, you got to be careful. So there's a flight path marker. Maybe that's what you're referring to. The flight path marker is where the airplane is going to be. FPA does display your angle of attack. So if you have FPA on, you can see the flight path angle of the aircraft, and you can see attitude of the aircraft with your attitude indicator, and the difference between those is your actual AOA. So you may be confusing FPM, which is a flight path marker, which will show you, like so in military aircraft and also on like the Boeing, you pull up the flight path marker and it shows you where the airplane is going to be. Slightly different terminology than the flight path angle. We're going to slow to 180. Let's go ahead and start slowing down. We're going to hand fly at Soto. I can tell we're going to be a little bit fast here, so let's go gear down early. That's fine with flaps 1. Diego! No, you're not dreaming, my friend. We are back in next plane. We're coming in for a single engine hand throw approach. Kyle Longley, why is AP bleed dependent on the fire push button? Because it depends upon which side of the system is going to be contaminated with the squib discharge, right? Because we discharged all of these fire contaminants to put out the fire. It could be sucked up into the ventilation system, especially on system 1. So if system 2 is used, if you close the rotary knob, crossbleed is shut, you basically isolate from system 2. And that's how it can help you, or not help you, but it prevents contamination from the halon. All right, let's go ahead and manage speed. Glide slope low. Go around altitude is 2,000 feet is set. We'll hand fly at Soto. I'm going to crosswind from left, 15 knots, 13 knots. VFE next -10, flaps 3. And VFE next -10, flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin crew advised. Auto thrust is in speed. ECAM memo.
2,000.
Landing all green minus the spoiler arm. Autopilot's off. We're going to hand fly this. Flight with Rookie. Dude, thank you so much for your $5 dono, man. Banking, go check right back at you, sir. All right. Let's hand fly. Remember, just like yesterday, we talked about the rudder. So here we go. We're adding a lot of power, so I'm adding that left rudder in there. Get her stabilized. Now I know I can see the runway outside, but I'm really gonna try not to cheat. Now as the power comes off the airplane, as we get on slope, I'm gonna have to take out some of that rudder. Nice little gust right there. All right, we're 1,000 feet stable, clear to land. And we're also going to use auto brake slow on this one. AI correcting. Now we're going to get a jip whiz, but remember that's just Seattle being Seattle and X-plane here. So we will acknowledge and disregard the jip whiz. Pretty much right on it though. We're looking good on the approach.
500.
Remember, we're going to need opposite rudder as we bring the power out to flare the aircraft.
400.
100 above.
Jeez,
Minimum.
crosswind.
300. 200.
Terrain.
100.
Acknowledged and disregarded.
50. 40. 30. 20.
Retard.
10.
5.
Jeez, Toliss X-plane crosswinds are like double that of what they are. And that was good. We'll take it. Spoilers, reverse screen, decel. Flight attendant stations. Boom. Alright. We're not going to do a full evac like yesterday. 259, 213, whatever it was, I'll take it. It's a weird optical illusion when all that starts doing all that weird stuff. You can see it, can't see it. But we got her down. 15 knot crosswind. Let's take a look at that replay. Let's see how we did. Single engine. Let's bring it back. Would you ever consider flaps 3 landing in this situation? It's definitely a consideration, not required. 321, probably a bit of a different story.
100.
319, not so much, even a 320. Alright, so here's that crab. Of course, we can't see from down there. Look at that freaking crab, though. So 13, I should have set it at 7 knots, because 13 knots in X-plane is like 26 knots. But here we go. So as we bring that power out, remember the opposite rudder? That I was really trying. Look at how much rudder I had. Look at all that bank. There we go. Left, right, and down. That was definitely a firmer one. But crosswind landing, the upwind wheel should hit first. Oh, we have slow-mo too. So yeah, here we go. So we're coming down. We're pretty much aligned. We're not really side loaded. That's good. We got right main, left main. Just get her down at that point and get her nice and straight. Spoilers come up and the reverse is selected. The other engine lever is below MCT, and roll it out. Yep. All right. Terrain check. I'm gonna roll with that. I'm gonna play it through a couple times. I'm gonna let you guys watch that landing. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit as well because it is kind of loud. The sounds are. I cannot wait. You know, these last couple streams here really make me more excited for X-plane 12 because my X-plane 11 is just, it's dead. Like I need to do a bunch of stuff to fix it, and I just don't want to. I need a full reinstall, so I cannot wait for X-plane 12. I cannot wait to fly these airplanes in X-plane 12 because this little bit of, you know, flight dynamics here, watching this asymmetrical yaw and all that stuff, and then the power's coming out. You gotta look, see, I need opposite run now to straighten it out, and then trying to get her straight on the center line with a single reverser and a 15 knot crosswind can be quite the challenge. But it makes me have a lot more hope for and excitement for X-plane 12 because I think, you know, if I can just fly everywhere where there's Orbix, I'll take that. And then, you know, if we have good lighting and some good atmospherics, I really think it's going to be a very nice sim to fly right alongside Microsoft Flight Simulator. But I am just wiped out. I need to go home, do some more studying. And then tomorrow I've got my day one recurrent. So I'll keep you guys posted. Hopefully I still have a job by the end of the week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the members. Thank you for all the super chats. Flying with Rickery, thank you. Seek2A, thank you. Thank you for a couple of new members that joined the channel as well. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. As you know, I'm not going to be here till probably for a couple days at least. Maybe the weekend we'll do something. So until then, guys, enjoy the last couple of replays. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'm V1. See ya!